So like many of you, I am also a huge fan of Linkin Park. Quick background on myself, I'm originally from a country called Moldova in Eastern Europe. I grew up there right at the fall of the Soviet Union in the 90s, and we did not have music like Linkin Park where I grew up. We were likely to get Backstreet Boys or Britney Spears. So when we moved to the States in 2000 and I first heard, new metal, Linkin Park, System of a Down, Korn, all of this good stuff, right? Disturbed, if you count that, Slipknot. My mind was blown, but especially Linkin Park, I just had such a fondness for it. The first time I heard Hybrid Theory, it was just one of those albums, and I'm sure a lot of you resonate with this, that it just sounded fantastic. Just something about that album just really hit a lot. When Chester Bennington passed, I took that very personally. I don't normally care so much for celebrity deaths just because I don't have that kind of a personal connection, but this one hit hard. I actually remember working at the time when I was still living in Virginia. I'm in Phoenix now when I heard the news, and all my coworkers were fans as well, so they took it hard. I mean, everyone was of a similar age group. We all grew up on Linkin Park. I was in middle school when Meteora dropped. I remember everyone was wearing the Meteora t-shirts. It was a big event, and those are still the best two albums by far. I still like a lot of the newer stuff. I'm there for every new album, but they've obviously changed their sound away from new metal and more into the, I wouldn't say pop alternative metal, but whatever you would describe it, it just no longer really had that Meteora Hybrid Theory sound. But Linkin Park always was experimental, so I respected that about them. I still liked a lot of songs from a lot of their albums, even if it was just a couple from each one. So like a lot of you, still listen to Linkin Park often. There's a few bands that I'll listen to just repeatedly throughout the years, and Linkin Park is one of them. When I grew up, Eminem was another one, and then later on, Kanye West, System of a Down, of course. There's a few, I can't remember everything off the top of my head, but there's some bands where it doesn't matter. I'll just listen to entire albums front to back, and that's rare. So one day I felt like listening to the classics, and basically I went to Spotify and stumbled upon their page, and then all of a sudden I see this right here. So not sure what it is, almost felt like some kind of a compilation or remix, but it says album, right? So I click into it, and sure enough, there's a new single from it. If you go back to this page right here, I believe this one, yeah, it has a whole, track list. So I listened to the new one, and at this point, I have absolutely no idea what to expect. But it sounds about what you would expect from modern Linkin Park. Like I said, it's less of that new metal, but it's still very much modern Linkin Park. It has that feel. And all of a sudden, there's a woman vocalist, right? I don't know what to make of it. And then I'm not really digging the sound all that much. It sounds like Linkin Park as far as the overall melody goes. And then obviously Mike Shinoda opens and everything. But when this person, Emily Armstrong, came on, it was just, I don't know if it's because I just, the shock factor of it. But in general, I just didn't quite like her sound. But then when it got to more of the screaming, it did sort of channel more of what I would expect from Chester Bennington. So I warmed up a little bit, Chester Bennington, sorry. So I warmed up to it a little bit and was just left not really sure, with what to make of it. So went on Google to find out what the hell's going on, and found out basically that they've got a new lead vocalist. So Emily Armstrong, decided to look her up, because initially when I looked into this, people were basically having the exact same reaction as me, very split down the middle, 50-50. Some appreciated that there's new Linkin Park material, but a lot just didn't think she fit, didn't like her sound. Some were saying she is trying to imitate Chester Bennington. Some said, why are they even trying to resurrect the band? They should let it die, change the name. Just a lot of obviously mixed emotions from the fans, right? And that's all I knew at that point, as I was still just going based off what I, felt as far as the vocals, right? Then it came out later, she had a couple of things. We have obviously the whole thing with Danny Masterson. Highly doubt anyone's not aware of it, but just in case, Danny Masterson, actor from the 70s show, was accused of a lot of egregious, heinous shit. And she was there in support of him during the trial to basically bolster his appearance and to make him look like he wasn't as bad as he was, in hopes that the judge would grant some sort of leniency. It didn't work. Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis did as well, and then they actually came out with a YouTube apology video, if you recall. So she, and she's in Scientology to this day, I still believe. So she basically came out with an apology after people were going after her and said, several years ago I was asked to support someone and blah, blah, blah. But soon after, I realized I shouldn't have. What's weird is I tried to look this up. Did she actually say right after? Because this happened in 2020, the trial. And she said soon after, I realized I shouldn't have, but she doesn't say, she didn't publicly, state that was a bad idea until just now. So that was the first thing I thought was kind of weird. She's, just now basically making amends for it. So that kind of is not great. But as far as the ethics of it go, I honestly personally don't really give a shit that much. Not saying it's right to support, what he did or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm trying to say is if you're going to start to have that kind of, a reaction to people, like everyone has some of your favorite rock artists have done a lot worse and people still support them. There's Michael Jackson. I personally don't think he did it. I don't know. I still listen and love, like, he has some of the best music in my opinion of all time. And regardless, like, I personally can separate the artist from the art. So that's, I guess, what I'm trying to say. And it basically is that it doesn't personally impact me in such a way that I would let that prevent me from consuming an artist or director or actor's art, essentially, right? But if you are like that, and the Scientology and her standing up for him and denying the accusations, if that's a harsh line for you, then that's totally understandable. But as far as that goes, I just think it's whatever, personally. Again, my opinion. But as far as her actual vocals go, I don't know much about it. Her band is called Dead Sarah. I looked into it. I tried to listen to some of her songs. I didn't really care for them. And I like a lot of, female vocalists, like Amy Lee from Evanescence. You got Hayley Williams from Paramore. So Arch Enemy here, I brought this one up because my girlfriend actually got me into them one day. We were having a party with some people. We were having like listening sessions. And this one is some heavier shit if you're into that. But they actually had two women vocalists. So the first one was Angela Gasso, and then you have this one, Alyssa White Glues, and I believe she played songs from both. I was kind of inebriated, so I don't quite remember, but I believe I heard both of these women vocalists. So point is, I don't have a problem because she's a woman or anything like that, before anyone thinks that. And actually, if anything, I almost think it fits the band better as far as the experimental nature of Linkin Park goes, because it just kind of, it feels like something Linkin Park would just do, period. I just don't know if I like her that much as far as an actual voice goes. So I've heard, as I've said, some songs, particularly from this first album of theirs, and they had, was it not? Yeah, Weatherman, which I have this article pulled up here because you can see from their Wikipedia page, she actually, her band actually beat out that song in particular, Weatherman, got the #1 best rock song from Loudwire over bands like 3 Days Grace, Stone Sour, which is whatever, but Deftones, which is one of my favorite bands and just a phenomenal band, right? So I looked over here and this was the competition, right? And Weatherman got #1, which is crazy. Because Sleathers is great, but actually my favorite from this list, if I had to choose, is Harakiri from Serj Tankian, the lead vocalist of System of a Down. Now, as far as Weatherman goes, I do think it's a well-constructed song. It's got an interesting beat and the riffs, and it's even got some parts that remind me of Ted Nugent's Stranglehold, where it's kind of like the riffs or whatever you might call them, from louder to quieter and quieter to louder, like coming from the background to closer in. It's got cool stuff like that and transitions that I like, but her actual voice, it does not resonate well with me, right? Having said that, I actually do prefer her voice more on Linkin Park as opposed to her own band. So, I mean, I'll at least say that. But I don't know. The reason I'm making this video is just to kind of explain how much Linkin Park means to me. And especially for someone that was not born in America and moved here and got, and discovered this kind of, got exposed to this kind of music is what I'm trying to say. Sorry, I'm at a loss for words. I don't know why I'm stumbling so much today, but just got back from the gym, so I'm going to blame it on that. But yeah, someone that got exposed to this kind of great music. And so this means a lot to me, and I just thought I'd share my opinion and just what I think of this whole thing. And to be honest, I don't know yet. Like I said, I'm always there for Linkin Park's albums. I'm going to be there for From Zero, which I actually didn't know this. I knew they started out as Hybrid Theory and changed to Linkin Park. I didn't know From Zero with an X was their original name. Mike Shinoda, I believe, started the band, and that's how it started. Then it went to Hybrid Theory, which is, I think, when they got Linkin Park, Chester Bennington on board. Point being, I'm going to be there for it. I didn't think The Emptiness Machine was a bad song by any means. It just didn't wow me, right? And I'm kind of iffy on the vocals. I did hear some of her covers of classic Linkin Park songs like Summer in Somewhere I Belong, Crawling, and it was okay. Again, as far as just her regular cadence and vocals go on the normal part of the songs, I'm so. When it gets more into the screamy parts, I actually kind of dig it, so I'm willing to give her a chance and just let the other shit slide, only for respect of the band, and because I know these band members are super close-knit, and especially Mike Shinoda, I know has wanted to continue making music, because I saw an interview of his where he was saying the band needs time to grieve and eventually something's gonna happen. He hoped, and this is it. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, don't get it wrong, there will never be another Chester Bennington. I don't think there was their intention to replace him or to try to imitate him. Some people said it's better they chose a woman or a female vocalist over a male vocalist, because choosing male would be more disrespectful to Chester Bennington. That's kind of a weird take in my opinion. I don't even understand that. Other bands like Alice in Chains did, and no one, to my recollection, had any issue with that. So I don't understand. If anything, I actually think it's more interesting. It makes me more interested to see how a female vocalist is going to do in this band than if they just chose another male vocalist. So we'll see. Cautiously optimistic, curious what everyone else thinks. I know right now sentiment it's kind of heated. I've seen comments on various platforms and people just either have huge issues with just her sound or her background. And then there's others defending and like going after those people. And then obviously Chester Bennington's son thinks this is disgraceful, and what Mike Shinoda is doing is wrong. I really don't know yet. This is just my take, and I'm more glad that there's potential new material than not. I'll put it at that. I'm willing to give it a chance, and that's pretty much what I think. But what do you guys think? Is this a hard no? Are you not going to bother with it? I mean, do you heavily dislike this vocalist, Emily Armstrong, that you won't even give her a chance? Or are you going to be there for the album and at least try and see, right? What did you think of the single? Was it kind of mid? Was it good? Was it about what you expect out of modern day Linkin Park with a new vocalist? Let me know, because I'm curious, especially if you have any relatable kind of like, how did you find out about them, about the band? And one last thing, while I was on the topic of like how the band got started and the names changing, like from Hybrid Theory to Linkin Park, some say, well, it's Mike Shinoda's band, so who cares? Chester Barrington's gone, it wasn't his band, they can do what I want. That is some fucking bullshit. They would not be, I guarantee you, they would be nowhere close if it not for Chester Bennington, who was just like one of a kind, beautiful soul. In the same way, I promise you, Soundgarden would not be where they were without Chris Cornell. System of a Down would not be where they were without Serge Tankian. I mean, who else? Alice in Chains aren't who they were without Lane Stanley, although I think they're okay. As far as changing vocalists go, I don't mind their new stuff, but they're not the old, okay? They're not the old Alice in Chains. But with that being said, what I'm trying to say is like, that's a crazy, like Linkin Park, it is Chester Bennington. A lot of people only like them for the vocals. They don't even care that much for the music. They love the vocals. So that's a whack take. That's crazy. Whoever says that is insane in the head. So anyways, that's my take. Would love to hear more from you guys if you have any personal stories to share or history about, Linkin Park. And that's about it. This is Dima. So till next time.